Which choice best describes the main purpose of the text? Pteropods are small swimming snails with thin, delicate calcium carbonate shells. These animals are thought to be especially vulnerable to ocean acidification due to calcium carbonate's susceptibility to dissolution at lower pH values. Victoria L. Peck and colleagues recently found that the periostracum, a protective coating on pteropods' outer shells, prevents this dissolution when intact. Moreover, the team was surprised to discover that even when the periostracum is breached, pteropods can still mitigate damage by rebuilding the inner shell wall. So the focus of this text is on the pteropods and how they have many different mechanisms to protect themselves. So to begin with, pteropods have a thin, delicate calcium carbonate shell, and that these shells are vulnerable to ocean acidification because these calcium carbonate susceptibility to dissolution at lower pH values, so they dissolve at lower pH values. And researchers found that the pteropods have a periostracum, which is a protective coating on pteropods' outer shells, which helps prevent this dissolution, and that even when this periostratum is breached, the pteropods can still mitigate damage by rebuilding the inner shell wall. So let's look at the answer choices. A. Recall for additional research on biological mechanisms that improve pteropod survival rates. This is incorrect, because nothing in the text highlights any call for additional research. Nowhere is this mentioned at all in the text. Instead, the text focuses on the multiple ways that a pteropod can protect itself, like the calcium carbonate shell, the periostracum, and by rebuilding its inner shell wall. Therefore, we can eliminate A because there is no mention of a call for additional research. B. To discuss a conclusion drawn in a study of calcium carbonate's role in protecting the periostracum of pteropods. This is incorrect because this option choice has the two roles of calcium carbonate and the periostracum backwards. Because in the text it highlights how the periostracum is the protective coating for the pteropod's outer shells, and it prevents the dissolution of the calcium carbonate shells, not that the calcium carbonate protects the periostracum. Therefore, because it has it backwards, we can eliminate option choice B. C. To address some of the ways ocean acidification has altered pteropod behavior over time. This is incorrect because this isn't mentioned at all in the text, as B was, or as A was, where the pteropod behavior over time isn't addressed at all. So because this isn't mentioned in the text at all, we can simply eliminate option choice C. D. To present findings that suggest that a concern about the effects of ocean acidification on pteropod shells may be unwarranted. This seems to be the correct answer because the second sentence highlights how the animals are thought to be especially vulnerable to ocean acidification due to calcium carbonate's susceptibility to dissolution at lower pH values. But then, after highlighting the role of the periostracum and rebuilding the inner shell wall, the text as a whole highlights how these findings suggest that their concern for this ocean acidification isn't very warranted or supported. Therefore, the correct answer is D.